What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. We are jumping right into Season 19, Season of the Seraph right here with a little guide for y'all going over how to unlock and complete the new Heist Battleground missions within Destiny 2. 3-person matchmaking activity, so you can go in as a full squad of 3 or solo, and you will make sure, or the game will make sure, that you guys get that 3-person in there, because the playlist right now, since we are a little lower than normal for these at the start of the season, is a little more challenging with that enemy density inside of these areas. These bunkers that we're traveling to is super high, so make sure you got those builds on that clear ads as well as do some gnarly damage. So we're going to get right into the 2 that we have right now that I have encountered is on the moon and also on Europa. So this is like our other 3-man activities that we've had within Destiny throughout the years. So when we load in, there's 3 basic things that happen within each of these. Now this is breaking it down to its simplest form. So first off, whichever you're on, Moon or Europa, and I'm sure we'll have more in the future, EDZ, Nessus, such like that, where our other Seraph bunkers were. So the first basic step of going through these heist missions, whether it be Moon or Europa, is to wipe out ads and clear enough of the area where you can reach the bunker or the Submind of Rasputin, where we'll have to do a couple different things to actually reach the boss room. Now they are slightly different in the encounters that happen within them, but the boss fights are basically the same, as well as how to get into the boss room. So for the moon, when we are on the moon, we clear out a bunch of ads and Hive on the beginning area inside of Archer's line, and then once you clear out enough, we can go inside of that bunker. A lot of these Hive are that Xivu Arath followers, so they got that little green glow to them, and they're singing that song to wake up the Xivu Arath and that Ascendant Hive, if you will. So there's a couple that are decently hard to defeat, but it just moves pretty progressively through the area, wiping out enemies until you can go into the bunker. Now once you're inside the bunker, you just clear out your way into this main room right here, which is super easy to get through. All you have to do is almost like the public events that we used to have inside of Nessus, where you stand next to the terminal and let the ghost unlock it. That's basically all we're doing inside of this room. We will have to deal with champions throughout these, so this week we have Barrier and Unstoppable. Sure, that'll rotate as well. But that is where the differences start to come in, is in this room right here. So for the moon, like I said, we are standing next to that panel, protecting it so the ghost can unlock it and we can go a little bit deeper before we reach the boss room. Now it's pretty easy to defend the area. There's going to be, like I said, a couple champions, couple yellow bars, and then there will be those glowing enemies that they're the interrupters, and they drop little key cards for you, cryptic bits that help progress a little bit farther. So it's only 3 or 4%, but it does help when you defeat all of those enemies, because if any of those shiny enemies come close to the panel, it'll halt your progress and you'll have to wipe those out and get them away from the council before you progress farther into this bunker. Now, once you've beat that room and level it up enough so the ghost can unlock the door behind you, go down and we're into the area right before the boss room. Now, this is basically going to be the same inside of the other versions as well, once we reach this point where we're going into the actual Submind of Rasputin. So the difference between these two at the moment, before I continue on into the boss room, if we head back to Europa, so instead of standing by that panel and letting the ghost unlock it, it is purely just a push through the catacombs of the Braytech lab, defeating enemies on your way. There's a couple different checkpoints where you got to defeat a certain amount of those enemies. Also the glowing enemies that are the choir, they're singing that song for Xivu Arath. So it's a pretty linear path with in the Europa one. Just make sure you guys are staying out of the sight of the lasers in both our missions, or all of these in the heist, because after 15 seconds of being detected, you will get shot by one of these missiles and it's a one-shot defeat. So inside of Europa, like I was saying though, it's just a pure push into the area where we start to unlock these hive chains to progress into the actual boss room. So Europa seems to be a little bit less of a progress to get through. It's a longer run that you have to do, but there's nothing that you're stopping and leveling up on your way. It's purely just push through into the different catacombs and depths of Braytech before you move on to the actual boss. Like I said, very similar, just slightly different between our different destinations that we're traveling to for this. Now, once we reach this room right here with the hive chains, like I said, there will be 5 of those hive runes on this door that we have to destroy. To destroy these 5 hive runes, there will be a little Rasputin ball that you have to collect on the left and the right hand side, and you use it as a laser like you would shoot inside some of our other missions to break shields. You shoot them at those little discs, and then it'll break after a certain amount of damage. Like I said, there's one on each side, the left and the right. The right is going to have some gaps that you have to jump over, where the left doesn't really have any of those gaps, but you will have to deal with some of those trip mines that explode and cause that arc slow around you. But it's just some enemies that you have to defeat in that area. Once you defeat those enemies, you will see the little Rasputin ball pop up. And then you can take that to the door and shoot it, like I said, at those little runes. And once those runes break, all 5 of them, you are let into the boss room. That has been the same for each mission that I've done so far, whether it be the Moon or Europa. Now, when we move into the boss rooms, they are basically the same, like I said, just with a little different enemy for the boss. On Europa, we have to deal with a gigantic shrieker that pops between 3 different areas on the map. And then we also have in the Moon one a gigantic scorn, kind of like the Mindbender, that moves around into 3 different spots as well. And they each have 2 health bars, so once you take it down halfway, the add density does increase quite a bit and you can't damage the actual boss. Once they reach that point, to be able to get that shield down, there will be some captains around the map that are glowing. They drop an arc energy charge for us. So once you defeat that captain, there will be 5 of them. I mean, they keep spawning, but you have to defeat 5 of them and deposit 5 of these arc energy charges into that center console, where then Rasputin will use that laser, like I said at the beginning, that has the chance of defeating you if you're in its gaze for 15 seconds. It'll use that laser to take off the shield of either the Shrieker or a gigantic Scorn Man, and then you're able to continue your damage phase on those 2 bosses. So like I said, it's a nice slow go inside of these boss rooms with a high add density. So definitely bring in some add clearing builds. I was using War Mine cells with an unstoppable hand cannon in Solar, so I could get those War Mine cells to proc with Scorch, as well as my heavy in Xenophage. But just the boss fights are definitely a little challenging, so you just got to remember, take its health down to that halfway point. A shield will come up. To get that shield down in the boss room, there will be those captains around that drop the arc charges. Once you defeat a captain, collect that arc charge, take it to the center pillar where it tells you to put it in. You need to do that 5 separate times. Rasputin will take down the shield on the boss. Bada bing, clap them out, and then you have your option of collecting the chest, spending that 500 of the Seraph coins or whatever our currency is this season, as well as just for completing the activity, you get a free chest, but you can spend those 500 Seraph keys on the extra chest to open it, and you can get some extra gear, especially the seasonal weapons and seasonal armor from Rasputin and that Clovis Bray inside of the helm. So hopefully this helps you guys out. If there's any variations that come out with the different versions, I'll let y'all know. But this right here is a nice little guide to unlocking and completing these nice new Battleground Heist 3-man activities. So we're going to have a lot of content coming out with this new season, not too much longer before Lightfall. So we're going to try to get everything out there for you guys. Lots of changes that happen this season and even going into next. So be on the lookout for a bunch of content. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.